And the LSU flag is flying well here at Miramar Beach, and for good reason, because expectations are pretty high for the LSU Tigers, as things are pretty calm here as we've reached the middle of the week and the end of part of the week that the coaches are here, because our first coaching guest of the day is Brian Kelley, no stranger here, and we are glad to see you. And I never want to add more pressure to your job, but everywhere I go, they are fired up about the Tigers this year.
And I am too. I mean, I'm bullish on this team as well. And look, every coach that's here believes they've got the best team they've ever had. So you leave these meetings, Paul, and you think, is there a chance I could win a game? But we know our roster. This is the best roster that we've put together. It's part of a process that has taken a little more time than we wanted, but we're doing it the right way, and we're pretty excited about what our football team looks like.
And I mean, it starts with Garrett Nussmeier.
Yep.
I alluded to him off the air to you about his season. I mean, there were some really great moments. There were some awkward moments,
Yep.
as there always are. I'm in a different state, in a different
Yep.
time zone. What has changed with him, or is it just the maturation and the people and the pieces around him?
I think you're right. I think it's the maturation. I think weapons around him obviously make a big difference. And I think in this league, as you know, being a first-time starter is so difficult. So difficult. And his ability to overcome some of the setbacks that he had, win our last 3 games where he really played at a high level, that's going to continue. He had a great spring. He got a chance to really blend with the new receivers that we have and the weapons that we've added. I just think he's going to have a great year going into year 2.
I know you're interested in how he plays this year and obviously his future, but in talking to some NFL people, I know you talk to a lot more than I do. I mean, they love him.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think we all know about his background, right? He's a coach's son. He's somebody that's been around the game. So I think when you look at quarterbacks, you want to see that kind of football IQ. He's a learner of the game. He always is looking to be curious about something new. Then he's got arm talent and anticipation. He can make those tight window throws that the NFL coaches really, really like, and GMs. I just think that, he's the complete package when it comes to that.
And he's handled the cauldron of fire. And I say this, I know you're a man, you're a believer, but somebody must not like you, because you end up with the worst opening games of anybody I've ever seen. Because
I think as I remind Scott about that, Scott, this was not on your tenure. You didn't make these decisions, but let's not make them moving forward. No, look, it is a challenge. There's no doubt, but everybody's got challenges, and now we have to rise up to that challenge of playing a great team. And Dabo's done an incredible job there, and this could be one of the most talented teams he's had. But we believe that we put a football team together that can go on the road. And when you go on the road, Paul, in this league, you got to be better defensively, and that's really the key here. We are going to be better defensively. Blake has got some weapons now on the defensive side of the ball, and when you go into a place like Clemson, you better play really good defense.
And as we talk about that game, and there'll be a million conversations. What does it mean? What happens if this happens? But it does lead to the bigger picture, which I know we have beaten to death. But the playoff, you're part of that conversation.
Yep.
As one of the top coaches in America. What is there something you would like to see happen when this all unfolds?
To me, when I was at Notre Dame, we played for the national championship, and it was the old system. It was done by a computer. Today, it's very subjective. What we'd like to see is maybe a combination of some of the analytics, some of the strength of schedule components. I know a lot of people use RPI. We probably couldn't use an RPI because we just don't have enough body of work in terms of games. But if we could blend those two together so the selection process is a lot cleaner relative to who should be in and who shouldn't be in, I think we started that with straight seeding. I think that was a first iteration of where we need to be. I think we can streamline it a little bit more with more data, and I think the more data that we have, so you're not just looking at the right-hand column.
Okay.
It can't just be about that. It's got to be about the best football team.
And that seemed to be the frustration of a lot of people, including the commissioner, where comparing one school to another in another league is just absurd.
No, you have to be able to look at other factors, and I think that's what I'm getting to with you, is that if we can add a little bit of the the metrics, if you will, with subjective decisions, I think we find a better place.
I want to talk about you for just a second, because your career is extraordinary. Everyone has pointed to various points in time with championships at different levels and playing for the national championship. But you experienced some things last year that you've felt before, but I mean, they had to be difficult because everybody had an opinion, and that's what makes it great. But LSU fans, I think, have more opinions than any fan base I've ever run into.
Look, I knew what I was getting into, right? The expectations that we have here at LSU are real, and they should be there. We should have high expectations. And we struggled, there's no doubt. But we got out of that, and that's what you're looking for. You want to see a team that is coming together. What I see every day is not what everybody else does.
Right.
I see the culture of our team. I see how they're working. I see the development. And then putting the roster together, adding NIL to go out and get the top portal class in the country. I see those things happening. So, yeah, there were some rough spots along the way. But we knew where we were going. We knew what the vision was. And we feel like we're getting right on the cusp of having a great football team.
When you've been through it before, when you know what you're building, and the noise is still filtering in, and I'm sure you can be insulated to a point, but your family can't be.
True.
What do you, is it, I mean, it's not the first time this conversation's happened.
No. And listen, you're at a high-profile place like Notre Dame for. I was there longer than anybody, and so when you get that kind of noise, you're trying to tell your team to avoid the noise. You have to do it by the leadership and how you come to work every day. They have to have a consistency. So when I go through that door, they know that I've got their back, and that no matter what happens, we're going to stick together. And that's what we did this year. We had a rough spot. We came out of it and won our last 3 games. And that's what you're looking for. Avoid the noise, stick to the plan, stick to our process. That's how I get through it. And my family understands that too. I just have to remind them a little bit more.
I mean, do they say, Coach, Dad, Brian, whatever, can you believe what somebody
Absolutely.
said? Okay.
Look, my son plays for me.
Yeah.
So, he's hearing it. He's hearing what's on social media. And look, I tell him the same thing. Look, you know who I am as a person. I'm your father, but I'm also your coach, and you know what we do every day. The rest of that stuff, unless you know who those people are and they're good friends of yours, you can't worry about it. Just move on.
I'm glad to hear that. Anyway. It was. I talked about this. There's the Netflix documentary that you took part in. They were asking me, you have Coach Kelley on. How difficult was it? I said, every Saturday I'm cheering my lungs out for LSU to win, so I can see a happier Brian Kelley on Monday.
But here's the thing, right? Every Monday when we do that show, you're fair. You'll have to ask the tough questions if you have to, and because that's your job. But I know that going in, and so we try to handle adversity and success the same way, and stay consistent. We didn't miss one Monday. We were there every single Monday. We could have. There's easy ways out, but I think that's what we try to display to our team too.
And that's why I bring it up, because there are just too many people in your industry that will not deal with the most obvious, and I appreciate that, because there's no secret. I had a couple of things to say about you when you were at Notre Dame, and then one day I talked to you about something off the air, and I'm like going, I'm not sure I have this guy figured out right.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I think just being transparent, honest, communicating on a day-to-day basis, and knowing why you're doing what you do. You love what you do. I love being around our players and developing them. There's NIL, there's transfer portal, there's this, there's that, there's more games. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is I love what I do, and that's developing players, and that's what gets you back there every single day.
Well, we'll see you in Atlanta, and hopefully we'll see you again once the season starts.
You'll see me every Monday.
I can't wait.
You're stuck with me.
We got it.
All right.
I was just trying to get that commitment before we went off the air. Thank you, Coach. Brian Kelley joining us here at the beach.